I'm just going to have y equals ax squared. So I know that it's symmetrical. I know that the reflective point is going to be at what? 1.5 and 1.35? Okay? But the only thing I don't know about this is how wide it is. And I can figure that out by just plugging in. So I know that I have a y equals ax squared. I can plug in a y value. I can plug in an x and square it and solve for a. Okay, so is everybody okay with that part of the problem? Okay. Let's see. On this side, for each, and we had to do what? 4, 6, 8. Okay, so on this, find the vertex of its graph and state whether the y coordinates of the vertex is the max, the minimum y value. So in this one, where do we know the vertex is at? 0, 0. And does that reflect a max or a min? Max, because it's negative, it's facing down. Okay, in the second one, it also is going to be, it's facing down, so it's a max. And what are the coordinates of the vertex?
-2.
Okay, so I know that the vertex is going to be at a -2 and a 3. Okay, and this one is going to be positive. I know that it's going to be steeper, and I know that this is because it's facing this way, it's going to have a minimum, and the minimum is going to be at -7 and
-17.
-17. Okay, so you can see what we're doing, and you can see the value of HK form. And that's what we're going to be learning how to do tomorrow. I'm going to start you with an activity today, and we're going to learn how to write any equation in HK form. Okay, because if I gave you, let's look at this, for an example, I don't know where that vertex is. Okay, so that's where I'm going to take you right now. So we're just going to do maybe a 5-minute little lesson, and then I'll review just your factors. You'll have your factors, and I'm going to let you do a little drawing activity. So the lesson, yeah, I'm going to give, you're going to do the drawing for homework, or when you finish the quiz. The quiz, Kayla and Matthew took it earlier. I think it took them maybe 15, 20 minutes, or definitely didn't give you that much time. Okay, so before we begin, if I asked you, first of all, what shape is that? Square. It's a square. And if I said to you, and this is not on the quiz, but it's just, I want you to just start thinking like this, what would the factors of this polynomial be? Dan? Yeah, what would the factors be? What times what gave me, or you could tell me what the trinomial was. What would you say the trinomial?
X squared plus 8x plus 16.
Okay, so I have I have x squared plus 8x plus 16. So what are the dimensions? It's x squared plus 8x plus 16, right? Is it a square?
Yeah.
Because what are the dimensions? Isn't this an x? X times x? And what would this be over here? Do you know what these are?
4.
Okay, this is a 4. So I have a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1. Okay, and these are over here 1, 1, 1, 1. So x times x is x squared. X times 1 is an x. X times 1 is an x, etc. Does everybody see that? Okay. All right. So we have that one. How about this one? What is this?
4x squared.
How many x squared?
4.
4x squared. So I have a 4x squared in here. Okay, so let's look at the inside. I have 4x squared. How many x's do I have?
12x.
Plus 12 x's plus
9.
plus 9. Okay, so what are the factors on the side? Is this a perfect square trinomial?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should be able to look at that and say the factors are going to be,
2x plus 3, 2x plus
is that true? Does that follow 2ab? Remember, we had said that it was going to be twice the 2a, so 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. Does that give me my middle term? Okay, so over here, what do I have? I have an x, and 3, so is that 2x plus 3? And over here, what I have, an x, and a 3, so I have 2x plus 3. Okay. We'll do one more.
Basically do like an area model, but in like a much more.
Well, this is a lot more detailed,
Yeah, a lot
and
more.
you don't necessarily need to do
I
that.
know, but like, that's kind of, if we think about it that way, that's.
Okay, and if you think about it that way, that would work. Okay, this is what I'm gonna ask you to do. Okay, I have one other question to ask you. This was not a good one to use, hold on a second, I'll do this one. Well, I want you to see a pattern, and it's easier to see the pattern if you don't, this one has the leading coefficient and it becomes just a little more complicated. Okay, so in this particular one, I had a square. Now, your goal is to make a square. That's the goal. And so what I want you to look at is that middle term. If I have, is this a square number? Is it easy? My first term is a square, the last term is a square. What happens to that middle term? What is the relationship of the middle term to the sides? The middle term is what?
Double?
A. Okay, so what is the relationship of the sides?
Isn't it?
Is it not doubled, it's
Half.
halved? Okay, so would you agree that if I look at this, my dimensions are always going to be half of that middle term? Yes? Okay, and what is always going to be in this corner? Is it going to be this term squared?
Yes.
Well, if,
Yes? Okay, because we are going to be making square numbers. Okay, so in this next one, if I asked you to draw it, and that's a 6, is this a square number?
Yeah,
So what would the dimensions be?
x plus 3 and x plus 3.
An x plus 3. And does that make sense that the 6 is half of, it's going to be, the dimension's going to be half? Your job is going to be, well, what happens if I have a number that is a 3 in the middle term?
Negatives. No.
I intentionally gave you all positives.
Wait, what?
So in this term, I realized that when I have a square number,
It's a rectangle.
that this is always going to be half of the middle term. In this one, you told me that the dimensions were going to be what, an x plus 3? Is it half of the middle term?
yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, what will the dimension have to be?
1.5.
1.5. So I could draw this, and I'm going to have x times x. Well, what is here? What did you just tell me?
3.
1.5.
1.5. So here's a 1, right? And here's a half of a 1. You don't have to, you could just do the number if you don't want to draw it. And what would be over here? A 1 and the 0.5. What's in this corner?
3.
Zero.
1,
1.5 times 1.5.
which is, oh, come on, what's 15 times 15?
It'd be 1.25.
2.25.
2.25.
But
you're not adding 3.25.
Oh, 225 is 50.
We're going to add numbers, we're gonna be messing. We're gonna be messing with your head, Cassie. Okay, so all I want you to do is think about splitting your middle term in half and then just adding that in, and tomorrow we'll talk about that in detail.
That's
So your homework tonight, so I've given you 3 problems to draw,
I
okay?
really enjoyed